Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Yata Sarvani Bhutani Pratibhanti Stithani Cha Yatraivo Pashamam Yanti Tasmai Satyatmane Namaha. So last week we finished up this wonderful section of the 7 stages of knowledge and went through that very subtle section about what I would call post-enlightenment samadhis, how they're not to be achieved by mere will or effort. In fact, if you're struggling for them, then you don't understand what jnana is, which is achieved at the fourth. So any questions about that before we proceed on? We're in a new chapter now, I think, aren't we?
Chapter 7.
Say again, Mark.
Number 71, 72, combined verse in chapter 7.
New section. Section 5. Avidyam Ahatmyaham. The majesty or power of nescience or spiritual ignorance.
Yes.
Etat te kathitam Rama jnanam vai sapta bhaumikam tvam mahatmyam avidyaya punashrinu raghudvayaha. Rama, born in the family of Raghu. This knowledge, having 7 stages, has been narrated to you. You hear again about the majesty or might of spiritual ignorance.
All right. Now, Michael, before we lose you, you want to do some chanting for us?
If you want me to, I can.
Absolutely. So now what we have here is he's going to expound more on the nature of ignorance itself. So let's review what the issue is. One of the ideas that Yoga Vasishtha thunders, both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. The self is never bound. Our problem is not an ontological problem. I, Jim, don't have to change into a different kind of being. What is my problem? What is my bondage? My bondage is nothing more than the deeply rooted conviction that I follow, which manifests as I think I'm the body, and the body plus the personality. And its cause is spiritual. Does the self have ignorance? Yes, no?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Where does ignorance occur? Yes. And no. Where is the locus of Maya? Universal, manifesting illusory, delusionary power. The locus of Maya is Brahman. So my stupid little mind is the result of Maya. Did that make sense? Yes, no?
Yeah.
So there's a secondary ignorance, my personal avidya. Usually we use Maya with the idea of universal delusion and avidya for my personal ignorance. Okay. And there's no other liberation other than the deeply rooted conviction in the subtle intellect based on direct experience. Not that I'm a Mahatma, not that I'm a Jnani, but I am Brahman. All right, Michael, go for it.
Sure. Is it 70? Is it the bottom of 75?
Yeah, we just did the what page was it again? Yeah, 70. The two or three verses together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 72, 74.
Do you need more light?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay.
Lavano sao mahipala tatra drishta tata brahmam Vitiye divase gantum pravritastam mahatavim Satatra viharantastum svavritan sakalanapi Drishtva chauva nyatav aschavisi shmiye Bila pantim tadastanye Vitam papracha bhumipaha. This King Lavana, having seen there such delusion and determined to go to that great forest on the second day, saw, inquired, knew, and wondered at all those occurrences in his life.
So we're going back to our original story. Remember, Lavana has somebody show up in his court who whisks with the peacock feathers, and he's in there in a trance. But his experience is a horse comes in, he gets on the horse, he goes off, he grabs this branch, the horse keeps going, he comes down, and he is approached by the outcast, wants water, she won't give it to him because she's an untouchable. And she says, I'll give you food and water if you marry me. Okay, I'll marry you. And then he's there for 60 years, and there's famine. Everybody's so upset. Then he jumps on the funeral pyre, and there he is back in the hall where he's loving of the king. So now, as loving of the king, he's running this really weird stuff. So he heads out to where that village was in his hallucination. Let's see what happens. Is it there? Is it not there? Let me give you an example. Frequently, I will have dreams of being in San Francisco, and I'm always trying to get back to where I live, except I moved so many times in San Francisco. There's always this one neighborhood, and I don't think it actually exists in San Francisco, but it does in my dream San Francisco. Someday I'll have to go looking for it. Let's see if his village that was in his hallucination really exists. Going on.
There was a sentence. Then the king inquired of an old lady who was weeping in the forest.
Oh, okay. I missed that one. See who she is.
Kim vritam tavadukaya kanva tvamanusho chasi iti prishta chasa praha patimre dukasa dikpaha. What is the event that has caused you grief, or whom are you mourning for? Thus she asked. My husband is the head of a lowly tribe.
So he's starting to talk to this little old lady. Let's go on and see what her tale is.
Avayoscha sutta prapa dalvadindu samam patim Sukhani sachiram bhuktva prasuta tanaya sultan. Our daughter obtained by chance, a husband equal to the moon, having enjoyed all happiness for a long time, she gave birth to daughters and sons.
So let's find out who this wonderful husband was. Going on.
Kena chitvata kalena grame dubiksha pidite te sarvehi gata duram panchatvam vagata iti shochyam stananu shochat yatishtamo prishadukita. Then after some time, when the village was afflicted by famine, all of them went far away. Or did they die? Thus mourning for those who are fit to be mourned, we remain extremely distressed.
So she's a little confused about what happened, but they're gone because of the famine. She's all upset. Going on.
Iti shrutvo chitau danai etasam dukasam shayam Pritva cha vismaya vishto drishta loka paravaraha Nyata vidyat svabhavosau ajagam griham ripaha. Thus, having heard and having ended the anguish of these ladies by suitable gifts, the king, who had seen the earlier and later life and known the essential nature of spiritual ignorance, arrived at his house filled with wonder.
So, did it really happen? Or was it a dream? So, Yoga Vasishtha purposely messes with our minds. What I want to say is the dream state or the delusory state. Well, that's one place where this is real. And this story mixes them up. Did it happen? Or did it not happen? That's why I like the movie Inception, where you don't know if it's real or it's a dream state, and they're like dreams within dreams within dreams within dreams. The difference is in Inception, they posit that there's a real waking reality that you got to get back to. Vedanta says, remember fourth Karika in the second chapter of Mandukya, the phenomenal world is unreal, and the proof of its unreality is you can see it. First chapter of Mandukya, Auma, silence, waking dream, deep sleep, and Brahman, fourth Turiya. Second chapter of the Karika, well, we lied. There's only two mind states, sleep and dream. You have daytime dreams, you have nighttime dreams. Only the subject, aham, is real. when we begin the spiritual life, we think this world of name and form is very solid and very real. God and the self, I have faith that they're there, but they're a mystery. And it's actually completely the other way around. Yourself is the only absolutely knowable reality. It's this world that's completely mysterious. Any thoughts on this? Or as the Gilbert and Sullivan song says, things are seldom what they seem. Skin no masquerades as green. Going on.
Sri Rama Uvacha Kata me Tatvada Brahman Svapna Satyatva Magataha Samshayo Bhagavan Soyam Name Galati Chetasaha. Tell me, Brahman, or sage, how is this that a dream had become true? Holy One, this doubt of mine does not vanish from my mind.
Yeah. How did what I dreamed seem to be true? I was in my audience chamber, sitting on my throne, even though I was stoned out of my mind. But it seems the story I dreamed really happened. Let's see. Going on.
Vasishtha Uvacha Sarva Metata Vidyayam Sambhavaye Varadava Asaccha Sadiva Bhati Svapneshtiva Vanamogati. Raghava, Rama. All this does indeed happen in spiritual ignorance. That which does not exist appears to exist, just as the movement of clouds in dreams. And there's a long note which I can read.
Please.
Note, the term avidya, literally absence of knowledge, is translated here as spiritual ignorance. It is that which makes the soul, or individualized consciousness, forget its real nature, the eternal pure being consciousness bliss, which is ever free and untainted by the limitations of worldly existence, and impose upon itself the state of a doer and enjoyer.
Okay. So the idea here is all this is like a dream. All of it is in mind. All of it is in Chaitanya. There is movement, states of consciousness. Just like the mirror can have any object reflect in it, yet the mirror is never changed or touched. So when I look out on a phenomenal world, what's here is Brahman. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman. Sarvam Idam Kalu Brahman. All this is verily God. Nama Rupa, the names and forms. Nitya, illusion. I superimpose notions of cause and effect. See, this is what Lavana got all weirded out by. wait a minute, this isn't following the laws of cause and effect. Because cause and effect itself is just another thought, a useful one. What makes it seem so real? Habit, firm conviction. How do I loosen the grip of avidya? First of all, to have paroksha jnana, the firm understanding intellectually. Brahman alone is real, the phenomenal world is illusory. And then jnana abhyasa, practice, let go. It's all okay. It's just like a dream. It's gonna be okay. Now, especially in a charged political environment with stock market going ballyhoo, a lot of people around us. Gloom and doom, gloom and doom. But which is more real, a pleasant dream or a nightmare?
Neither one.
Neither one. And what happens to every dream? It passes, it ends. But you go nowhere. So we have a loved one who's all upset, may have a terrible diagnosis, or upset about this or that, a loss. So at the level of vyavahara transaction, of course, we meet them with compassion. We act our part in the drama. But if I'm always okay, so are they. Second chapter of Gita. When we get to the 11th verse, that's where the real teaching begins. What does Krishna say? You grieve for whom you should not grieve. Though you speak words of wisdom, at the level of Yavahara, what you said is valid. The wise grieve neither for the living nor it's all going to be okay. It is okay. Any thoughts? This doesn't mean to withdraw and be afraid of life. It's like going to the movies. You can go to a movie and you can see some, romance. Somebody dies and somebody else, Titanic, and you can leave. Oh, that was such a good movie. It was so sad when he drowned. You feel the sadness. But why do you say it's a good movie, even though you were sad? Because at a level of the mind, it's not real. It's just a movie. So is all this. Next verse.
Drishtam yat pakane ranya tatra shambarike haya tatra yo lasita vidya saivanye duriti dhruvam. Whatever was seen there by the king in the hut of the outcast, by the act of the juggler, and what flashed there on the following day, that was only spiritual ignorance, certainly.
Yes. So again, as Mandukya's second chapter thunders. Nighttime dream, mithya, illusion. Daytime dream, what I perceive as this world, equally. The phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality is that it is objectively apprehended. And it's always changing. It's always fundamentally mysterious, too. Something there is that never changes. Going on.
Tatkale lavane nashu trishto yasvapna vibramaha saeva samvidam praptaha tada puka sachetasi. Whatever dreamlike illusion was seen for the time being by Lavana, immediately that itself attained to consciousness or perception then, in the mind of the tribal man.
So the mind is the same. You have dreams within dreams within dreams, is what he's saying. But all of it is in the mind. All of it is in the mind. The waking state reality is just as much a product of avidya as the dream state. Now, we have two classic examples of superimposition. Snake in the rope, mirage waters in the desert. Snake in the rope is like nirvikalpa samadhi. When you apprehend the rope, the snake is no longer available for perception, for apprehension. Oh God, that was so weird. I thought it was a snake. It's clear now. It's not. It's just a rope. Snake gone bye-bye. But when you have mirage waters in the desert, that's like nirvikalpa samadhi, the first one. So when you're in the deepest samadhi, the personal sense of self is gone. The phenomenal world is gone. And what's there is aham only. But with mirage waters in the desert, your senses continue to report water, even though your knowledge is heat waves off the sand. So this is what's called sahaja samadhi, natural or continuous samadhi, meaning even though your senses continue to report a phenomenal world, your knowledge is nitya. Dream life is real. Slow down. Like a movie. It's a hologram. It's a virtual reality. Don't take it seriously. And the minds and sense perceptions are so powerful. I keep using the example of Soundarya when she was in that art exhibit in New York with the mirrors all around. And how hard it was for you to step forward onto the mirror, even though you knew there was a concrete floor underneath that mirror. Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
But your senses, they lied to you. Did you have to close your eyes in order to step on
I just didn't look down. I just.
it? Yeah. How powerful are the senses and the mind's interpretation of the senses? But that's how the yogi moves through the world. Seen, but not real. Going on.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
You were differentiating between the snake rope and the mirage water. Could the snake rope also be equivalent to the feeling that I'm a separate person?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that feeling I'm a separate person goes away.
Mm.
It's not it's like deep sleep. Yeah. So you don't have an experience of ahankriti in deep sleep. So when the mind returns from Nirvikalpa, it is absolutely convinced that no personal sense of self is real. It may not even ever come back. But even if it does come back, you know it's not real. You absolutely know what your essential nature is. And again, it doesn't have to be a muhurta. The scriptures always say, oh, and so was in samadhi for a muhurta, 48 minutes. It's depth, not length. Anytime there's a gap between your thoughts and you notice the no thingness of the self, those little flashes, that's all you need. Going on.
Sata sarva padartha nam natya samvedana vrite samkalpa samshayat rama chinmatrama vashishyate. Rama. There is no other existence for all objects without perception or consciousness. By the destruction of thought or imagination, pure consciousness alone remains.
Yes. So the mind is the world is the mind. It is the awareness of the phenomenal world that makes it seem real. Stop the thoughting and the world stops. This scripture uses a marvelous term, dhanu manasaha, the thinning of the mind. You just thin the mind. You don't have to stop it dead even. And the world starts to become like a transparency. And on a very practical level, Tejo Mayananda always used to say, do you know how to get rid of your worries? Quit worrying. I think the phenomenal circumstances cause me to worry. And what Yoga Vasishtha is saying, it's the other way around. It's my worrying that makes me interpret the world of name and form as worrisome. And all it is shunyata, absolutely neutral name and form. So we meditate on the fundamental unreality of the world of name and form. Now, I have a fellow I'm working with who has a master's degree in Buddhism. My suspicion is the Lama that taught him was a Shunyavadan. Shunyavadan is a scoliast of the boy. My friend says he wasn't a very happy fellow. He had a very dour personality. Wasn't very likable or personable. But this fellow was taught that the phenomenal world exists. It is. What it is constantly changing. The problem is the superimpositions of my affect, my mind, calling it good and bad, etc. Vedanta goes a step further. It says, not only do I have that double superimposition, God imagines the world of name and form, then I imagine it's good and bad, just and unjust. So I can get rid of that perhaps. But what Yoga Vasishtha is saying is this phenomenal world comes about sankalpena, by means of imagination. By the Lord's inherent Maya Shakti. And I don't even ever really see the world. I only see my mind. Wendy looks at the glass. Puneet looks at the glass. I look at the glass. We call it a red glass, but there's no way to prove that each one of the three of us are seeing is the same thing. Absolutely no way to prove it.
We could all be seeing something completely different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess it is all different because different lengths and shades based on where everyone's sitting. So no one sees the exact same appearance.
But even if you were exactly seeing the same thing, you have no way to verify what you're seeing is identical. That's just an assumption.
If I were colorblind, I would be calling that a red glass, but I would be seeing something completely different.
Yeah.
And even if you're not colorblind, what you call red, what I call red, might be completely different.
Yeah.
Because who knows,
What is
What?
red?
right? All of it.
All
could
we ever
be-
see is the mind.
Yeah, we could all be seeing, we probably are all seeing very different movies. We just
Well-
don't know.
Just read the headlines.
No kidding.
We're in an environment where this truth is so obvious. It's funny. Yeah, it's funny. Next verse.
It's just the end of this one. Iti Shri Vasishtha Sangrahe Lavano Pakyanam Nama Saptama Sagraha. Thus ends the 7th chapter titled The Story of Lavana
Okay.
in the abridgment of Yoga Vasishtha.
So the whole idea here is because of spiritual ignorance, because of the non-apprehension of my essential nature, of Vritti, veiling power, of Varana Shakti in the mind, even though it's the most present, obvious dimension of my existence, in my mind I don't see it. Then comes the Vikshepa Shakti, the projecting power. First is Ankriti, the I thought, I'm a person. And the phenomenal world is solid and concrete and real, separate from me, and inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. And it affects me, and I am subject to change. So I need to be defended, justified, protected, improved. And Kartavya. This is serious business. It takes a lot. In fact, you are Achalam. You never move. You are Kutastha. Amritam. Deathless. Isn't that interesting? The word nectar and the word immortality are the same. The root mrit, where we get the word mortal, mortality. Amrit means nectar, but it also means immortality. All right, next chapter.
Chapter 8, The Story of Bhargava. Bhargava's Kingdom of the Fancy, Castle in the Air. Vasishtha Uvacha Ekam Brahma Chidakasham Sarvatmakam Akanditam Stita Brahmani Vishva Shri Pratibha Matra Rupini. Brahman, or the Supreme Spirit, is one, the sky or space of consciousness of the nature of the whole and undivided. The splendor that is the universe existing in Brahman is of the nature of a mere appearance or reflection.
Yeah. So we have here my favorite term for the self, Chidakash, the sky or the space of pure awareness. The self in you isn't a part of Brahman. Vasishtha Ch8 say, I am the drop, God is the ocean. When I realized I'll merge into the ocean, the Ch8 say, nope. Your experience of I, listen carefully, is the totality of Brahman.
Can you repeat that?
Your experience of I is the totality of Brahman. What fools me, well, Brahman's really big because the whole universe fits inside. I don't feel really big. See, yourself is outside of dimension. You really have no dimension. How big is yourself? Sometimes it feels vast and empty like the sky. Other times it feels like a teeny tiny point from which I look out. But the fact is, you are nityam. Nityam is different than sanatanam or paurunam. You are ancient, sanatanam, but you are nityam. You're in the eternal now. And the self in you is not a part of Brahman. A wonderful meditation. But in that infinite Brahman rises the entire universe, like pratibimba, like the reflection in a mirror. The self in me is not like the self in you. The self in me is the self. Excellent.
Atra Bhargava Vrittantam Katayami Tavanagha Sanau Mandara Shailasya Rihu Purva Matapyata. Sinless one. In this connection, I shall tell you the history of Bhargava, the son of Bhrigu. Once upon a time, the sage Bhrigu did penance in the forests of the Mandara mountain.
Okay, then another story. Going on.
Nivikau pasamadiste tasmin shukram tadatmajaha dadarsha pyarasam tatra gachantim nabasapata. When he was absorbed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the yogic state of absolute consciousness, his son Shukra saw there a celestial damsel going through the path of the sky.
So he's got a horny son. There's a celestial damsel floating off in space. There was a heavy wind, so he's clinging to her bosoms, going.
Atatam manasa dhyayan tatraiva militekshanaha arabdavan manorajyam taya saha patasukham. Contemplating her by his mind, there itself with closed eyes, he then started to build castles in the air along with her at pleasure.
So, do you remember as being a teenager? Do you remember kids? The girls, when I was like in the maybe 7th grade, they take their notebooks. I don't even think kids have notebooks anymore. Billy, 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 Billy. They write the boy's name like all over their notebook. Did you do that, Wendy?
I did. I did. Yeah. I remember having unbelievably passionate crushes on random men as a young, yeah, just like, oh,
And you didn't even know them.
not at all. No,
Yeah.
no.
And did you build stories about what you would do with them?
I don't think I knew enough to be able to do that. I think I just wanted them to love me the way I loved them.
Well, Shukra has a vivid
He's a
imagination.
bit older.
Yeah. There's a castle. And it's got this big circular water bed.
With a mirror on the ceiling. Right?
Boys, they're all going.
Svargehi har tumare pe tata samkalpamatrataha punyakshanu samdanat papatavani mandale. He then began to sport with her in the heaven by mere imagination, by inquiry into or thinking of the destruction of religious merit. He fell down on the region of the earth.
So, you know what sport means here.
Mhm.
He was imagining doing the woofty woofty with her. And so, as he imagines doing all these things, his purity of mind began to leave him. Attachment sets up. Imagination sets up. So, for the sake of the story, he falls into a lower realm. But the deeper meaning is this is the stuff that gets us in trouble. And it's not just sporting with celestial damsels. You can catastrophize in your mind. Who's ever done that? Oh my God, the stock market's gone down another 1,000 points today. When I'm 75, I won't have enough money, and then I'll be out on the street. I'll be a bag lady living under a bush. Does your mind go there like that?
And the other way, we could create beautiful future fantasies, right?
They're
It's
the
like
same.
anytime we're in the future, fantasizing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Not being present.
Having conversations with people who aren't in the room. That's one of my favorites. What am I going to do if? This is the real life issue. These things become very, very. Reminds me of the gal. She had an online conversation with this fellow. He was going to come over Friday night. They were going to go out to dinner. So this was like Tuesday. And she says, well, I'll probably think he's really nice. And then we'll go out to dinner. And then I'll fall for him. And then we'll get really enmeshed. And then I'll find out he's just a jerk. And then he's cheating on me. And then he just treats me terribly, just like all the others. And then when Friday night comes, the guy rings the doorbell and she opens it. How could you do that? She slams the door in his face. She made it so real. Chinthia. Furry thinking about it. So Shukra is doing that with this gal, this celestial damsel. The big bosoms. Going.
Tata tasya kramat jivaha shalita magamattada shalin buktavataf putro Vasishtha Ch8. Then his soul, in due course, attained to the state of rice. Subsequently, having become the son of one who ate the rice, he was again established in austerity.
So what happened is, because he was so concentrated on just sex, in his next life he had to just be rice. That's really bad. Then after his rice lifetime, then he gets to come back as someone who eats rice. Going on.
Avasat me ruga herne manvantaramayam tataha dharma chinta paribrashat jato madramahi pitihi. He lived in the deep woods of the Meru mountain for a full manvantara, a very long period in the world cycle. He was then born as the king of the Madra country because of deviation from considerations of moral duty.
So he's no longer a Brahmin. He's now gone from rice to an eater of rice, and then he works his way up to a Kshatriya. So he's a king. So he gets to be a king for a while. All those responsibilities going on.
Evam anyani janmani samupetya bahunyata samangayata te jataha tapasvita pasatmajaha. Thus, having passed into several other births, he was then born on the banks of the river Samanga as a tapasvan, a person performing religious austerity, and the son of an ascetic.
So he finally not only has attained a human birth, but he's attained a birth where he has the desire to do tapas, to do austerities, to enter the spiritual life. Now let's see what happens.
Atakalena mahata brigu shukra samudava kayat satra papatorvyam avanata pajarjaraha. Then after the lapse of a long time, the body of Shukra, born of the Brigu, fell down on the ground there, worn out by wind and the heat of the sun.
So this, when he's the tapasvan, he dies after done doing this for a long time. Let's see what happens.
Ata varsha sahetrena samadevi rato briku putramatva britam kopat kalam shaptum ieshasaha. Then Brigu, who ended his samadhi or yogic absorption after a very large number of years, thinking that his son was dead, hastened to the curse the god of death out of anger.
Yeah, so Brigu, this is a story. It's not likely a saint is going to be cursing the god. But this is to advance our story. So Brigu is all angry because he comes out of samadhi and there's his dead son. We don't know how many thousands of years have passed through all these things. Or did all these various incarnations just take place in Shukra's mind? What we know is we don't know. Is it real or not? Did this really happen or not? Any of you with siblings? See, we're a little bit older. Have you ever talked about a childhood event with Cheska and you have two completely different memories of the
All
same
the time. I mean, yeah, like almost everything.
event? Yes, yes. Especially
Yeah.
about how our parents treated us.
No, just like, really? Oh God, I don't remember it that way at all. Yeah,
Yes.
all the time.
So
Yeah.
who has it right, you or she?
Who knows?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm,
There it is.
mhm.
There it is. What do I know for sure? The phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality, as you can see. So now Wriggle's pissed off. Let's see what happens to him.
Adibautika de hota, kalo brigu mupayayao, upetya kupitam kalo, munim provacha satyadan. Then the god of death, assuming a material body, approached Brigu. Having come near the angry sage, the god of death spoke, pacifying him.
Yeah. So this is Yamaraj is coming. Okay, let's see what he says.
Tvamananta tapavrit pro vayamniyati palakaha kimurka eva sarvanya mudhamam shaptumichasi. You are a Brahmana of boundless austerity. We are guardians of destiny. O all-knowing one, why do you wish to curse me in vain like a fool would do?
Yes. So we curse destiny. We get mad at God. I cannot tell you how many people I know who have become atheists because of some family tragedy or something. They were sexually abused as a child. Mother died, they were 10, and their father was a jerk. How, if God's love, how could God do this? It's a misunderstanding of the actions of God. So here Yamaraj says, dude, why are you cursing me? Going on.
Manohitava putrasya samadhautva yisamstite samtyajye damba purgatva vishva chimbu bhuje divi. When you were established in samadhi or yogic absorption, the mind of your son, having indeed left this body and having gone to Vishvache, the celestial damsel, enjoyed in heaven.
So now he's going to talk about the story of what happened to the kid. So it's 9 o'clock. What verse are we on for next week?
We just finished 13.
13. So we'll start with 14 next week and find out what happens. Come back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.